Hello, everybody, and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43, and tonight we are taking our very first look at the new Tier 6 Commonwealth battleship, the Yukon. First of all, we're going to be using Charles Kingsmill as our commander. He is the new commander. And then we have Paolo de Revel and Azure Lane, Colorado as our inspirations. You don't need to use Colorado if you don't have her. Go with something like Cunningham if you want a little bit more accuracy. But the accuracy in this thing, I think, is good enough. You just want to get a little bit more reload if you can. Get that sub 30-second reload, and you'll be pretty happy with it. But the good thing about Colorado, she gives you a little bit more reload as well as more accuracy. So it comes in handy. All right. His base trait is Father of the Navy. You get extra hit points recovered and the total HP recovered by the repair party. Yeah, those two things seem to say the same thing, but yeah, whatever. I think the amount of HP recovered, I think, is the per second tick, or per tick how much HP is recovered per tick. If that makes sense, because you don't get all your health back all at once, you get it over time. So I think that the amount of HP recovered is the amount that you get per tick, whereas the total HP recovered is obviously the total amount that you can get back. Okay. Anyway, Flambeau Cannoneer, gyrating drill bits. You can swap gyrating drill bits for crisscross if you want. The extra damage does come in handy, but losing a little bit of speed. You go from 28 knots to 26 knots, so you lose 2 knots of top speed. You can get that back by running like an epic booster if you want, and maintain your extra damage. I am running Dominion as our third slot skill. This is his special skill. Your ship detectability time after firing guns inside a smoke screen is reduced by 10%. Your detectability range after firing main battery guns in a smoke screen is reduced by 10%. And the main battery reload time while inside a smoke screen is also reduced. So, yeah, all of this kind of gives you some good ideas of what this thing is capable of. It actually does have a smoke screen. Now, I'm not sure if it's a creeping smoke. It does feel like it might be a creeping smoke, but I haven't been able to test that. It's definitely a smoke that you want to either slow way down for or be kiting away and then use. But yeah, this thing is actually pretty nasty. But you also get Foghorn here, which is main battery range inside a smoke screen is increased by 10%, and then the smoke generator charge is increased by 2. Now, you could run Testudo here because you don't necessarily need fully packed, but having the extra heal, it is very good heal. Having the extra heal comes in handy. And all of your cooldown times go down when you're close to an allied ship. Well, that's of course assuming that you ever have an allied ship anywhere near you that's not AFK at the back of the map or just running away from your spot. Can you tell what I'm about to get into? Anyway, we are running the aiming systems mod 1, obviously. We are running the propulsion mod 2 because we don't need steering gears. The steering on this thing is good enough. You don't need steering gears on this particular ship. So going with propulsion mod is definitely the better bet. And then, of course, we have the concealment system mod for extra concealment. Okay. So as you can see, we get 3 heals with this build. We get a smoke generator with our build. We get 5 of those. And then we get 5 seaplanes. Now, I would recommend the observation seaplane, but I could totally understand somebody switching this out for catapult fighter, throwing Arthas in there, and trying to go for maximum damage. That wouldn't necessarily be a bad idea. 20% more damage is 20% more damage. But getting a little bit better accuracy is also pretty nice, because this thing is accurate enough, but will absolutely troll you on occasion when you fire the guns. We are running the Hector flag, and we're running the camo that comes with the ship. Survivability. 60,500 hit points with this, with a 22% torque reduction. 381mm 45 caliber Mark 7 guns. You get 9 of those, and they reach out to 17.2 kilometers with this build. Again, not a range build, so you're gonna have some instances where people just running away from you and you can't shoot them. Unfortunate, but is what it is. Reload time, 28.8 seconds with this build. Again, we went for not a full reload, but a decent reload build, and gets us sub 30 seconds, which is very nice. Main battery turret traverse is 34.6 seconds. That is much better than it would be otherwise. I think it starts at like 45 seconds or something like that. If you run crisscross, you can get that a little bit better, but you do lose the extra damage. Shell grouping, like I said, decent enough. 2.06 is pretty solid, and again, our initial is 1.9. So you do feel it a little bit at times where it's a little bit inaccurate, but for the most part, like I said, accurate enough, right? HE shell maximum damage 5,300 with a 34% chance to set fires and pin 64 mil. AP shell maximum damage of 12,852 with standard pin angles, and it can pin 732 mils at range and 405 at point blank. Or sorry, I got that backwards. 732 at point blank, 405 at max range. Secondary armament. 134 millimeter 50 caliber QF Mark 1s. You get 16 of those doing reaching out to 5.2 kilometers, reloading in 6.7 seconds, doing 1900 damage with HE and an 8% chance to set fires. They pin 22 mils. That's all you have for secondaries. And then the AA defense isn't terrible for a tier 6, but it's not great either. 40 millimeter 39 caliber QF Mark 8s. You get 48 of those, doing 142 damage per second, reaching out to 2.5 kilometers. You get the 40 millimeter 39 caliber QF Mark 7. You get 16 of those, doing 94 damage per second, also reaching out to just 2.5 kilometers. Then you have the 134 millimeter 50 caliber QF Mark 1 dual purpose secondaries. You get 16 of those, doing 63 damage per second, reaching out to just 4.5 kilometers. And then you have the 20 millimeter Oerlikon Mark 4s that you get 22 of, doing 122 damage per second, but reaching out to only 2 kilometers. So again, it seems like you have a lot of AA, but unfortunately it doesn't matter until they're crashing into the side of your ship. So keep that in mind. Maneuverability. With this build, again, we're running gyrating drill bits, so our maximum speed has been reduced to 26 knots instead of 28 knots, which is the base speed. Turning circle's pretty solid, but not amazing, 790 meters. But the real difference of this is a 9.7 second rudder shift. That is incredible for a battleship. That is almost cruiser level of ability to turn. But again, the turning circle isn't the greatest. So much like you'll see on certain super cruisers or some Russians out there, where it seems like you've got a good rudder shift and you can turn left and right relatively quickly, when you commit to a turn, you've got to be careful because you will take longer to finish the turn than you expect, if that makes any sense. Okay? Concealment. Detectability by sea is 12.4 kilometers. That is fantastic. Detectability by air, 10.4. Guaranteed is always 2. And then smoke firing penalty. This is where this thing shines. 10.1 kilometers. That is better than the Colombo, to put that into perspective. All right. Fan-freaking-tastic smoke firing penalty. Okay? If you ever get a chance to use your smokes in the proper way. But we've got a very small sample size. We won one, we lost one. Main gun accuracy, fantastic. Like I said, 46%, can't really complain there. But my average damage is 130,000 damage across those 2 games. So you can see that it's not really a bad ship. I've enjoyed it. For the 2 games that I played, I know, small sample size, but there's nothing that I don't like about it. Let's put it that way. It is overmatchable from the front. 26 mil. Again, anything 15-inch guns and above goes through that. So use your belt whenever possible. Torpedo blister, unfortunately, is below the waterline, so you're not going to get any added protection from that, so it's not really a layered defense in that sense. You also do not get any sort of turtleback. But it does have a very, very thick, well, I say very thick. It's not a very thick, but a thick enough casemate armor that you can use the armor belt to bounce quite a bit of people. And with this thing's turning ability, you absolutely can do the Dreadnought Shuffle very effectively. So use it to your advantage. And then, of course, the good news is it's got a very low citadel. It's at waterline or below waterline, actually. It's hard to tell on this map because you can't really see very well. But I'm pretty sure that this is below waterline. And this comes in real handy when fighting people up close and personal, because they'll go straight through and not hit your citadel. They may damage you, but they're not necessarily going to citadel you unless you're turning towards them to raise your citadel out of the water a little bit. But yeah, so far I've not been citadeled in this thing, despite fighting a Georgia up close personal, despite fighting and going full broadside, even at medium range against the Georgia. Both matches were on fault line, by the way, which is odd. In both matches, I was bottom tier. So that should tell you everything you need to know about this ship's capabilities. But either way, we're going to go ahead and move forward. Surgical shells, short fuse time, results in lower chances of overpenetration. This helps a lot versus cruisers. We'll show a little bit of that in the match that you're about to find, but again, I'd only get to shoot at 3 people in the match, and we just bullied all 3 of them. So, agile, above average ability to change direction. Again, talked about that. Greater heal. That is the one thing we kind of hinted at, but didn't actually show. So the heal is capable of 1,246 health healed back per second and lasts for 20 seconds. That, to me, is a super heal. And it is a fantastic heal. So I forgot to mention that earlier. We did talk about the heal being very good. We just didn't show it. Yukon, a project variant for a 35,000-ton battleship armed with 9 381mm main guns, developed in Great Britain, shocker, in 1935. So again, kind of leans towards that. You could tell it's an older design because the catapults are in the middle of the ship. Later designs, we realized that putting the planes in the center of the ship with all that fuel that can easily get burnt is a bad idea. So you'll start seeing catapults being put towards the rear ships later in life or later in time. But yeah, as a interwar design, it is what it is. While World War II was raging, am I crazy? 1935, World War II was. Okay, well, I'm American, so I know we got to the war in the later part, but I don't. Maybe this is just talking about a different period. But if this was developed in 1935, I'm going to have to look it up. Y'all got me feeling goofy out here. Anyway, while World War II was raging, the Canadian fleet saw a rapid period of growth. If history had taken a different course, such a battleship could have been transferred to the Royal Canadian Navy in 1944. She's designed in 1935, never actually built. So, yeah. Honestly, I like this thing so far. As somebody who plays very aggressively, it also has those characteristics you like out of a ship that can play a little bit more passively for those people. I would imagine Zarkun would like something like this because he likes to kind of turn and kite and snipe. And this smoke screen plus the bonuses that you can get out of it is fantastic. Plus the smoke firing penalty is fantastic, which he loves concealment anyway. And it's got good concealment to start with. So that means with Kondo, he's probably going to be running like a 11.3 kilometer spotting. So yeah, I would imagine Zarky probably likes this thing. But with all of that being said, let's get to the gameplay. Alrighty, so we're going to be on Fault Line, and like I said, we've only played 2 games in this. Both of them were on Fault Line. The first match, I spawned on the opposite side of where I'm spawning here, directly across from the A-cap, and then this one I spawned, obviously, over here. And both times, I had an AFK person next to me, and had to fight literally basically all Tier 7s. I say that. In this one, we don't actually fight all Tier 7s. We fight one Tier 7, and that one Tier 7 ends up being a Vanguard player, just doesn't know what he's doing. But we'll showcase that in a little bit as we get into this. But right off the bat, we're going to try to push forward. And you'll see that the guy next to me is AFK initially, and then just does classic teammate thing where he just runs away to do absolutely nothing for the entire match. And I don't understand why people do this, but we're going to showcase what happens when you don't do that, and when you use your head and can actually stand and fight your side. Now, again, I can't remember the last time I had a Tier 7 match on Fault Line. I honestly do not remember the last time I had a Tier 7 match on Fault Line. Let alone 2 Tier 7 matches on Fault Line back-to-back. Of course, I'm in a Tier 6, but still. As we push off to the right side, you're going to notice that I'm going to get spotted relatively early, but I don't see the thing spotting me. This tells me one of 2 things. I'm a very sneaky battleship, so it's either a cruiser or a destroyer. And given the fact that both of our destroyers spawned middle and left side of the map, this is a carrier match, by the way, and our carrier is going to be AFK as well, thank God. Because, you know, if having carriers in the game isn't bad enough, making sure that one of your carriers is AFK is always a fantastic thing. So, yeah, just count the AFK players in this one. But anyway, you'll hear that the teammate next to me does eventually wake up, and he starts running away immediately, because you can see he's starting to move forward now. But you can see I was going to set up to kite initially, and then I'm like, okay, well, I'm spotted. I better start turning in to make sure that I have armor pointed in the right direction. Turns out it ends up being a Maya, but you'll see the first shot that comes in is actually a Vanguard. Again, Tier 7 battleship overmatches me if he knows what he's doing. He doesn't. But Maya comes out, goes full broadside to short fuse armor piercing, and that doesn't end well. Maya very lucky, and you can see here trying to use the smoke screen again. Very new to the smoke screen, but it does look like it's a creeping smoke screen. So if you can slow down a little bit and then trigger it, go like a quarter speed, you might be able to utilize this to creep forward in your smoke, which is a huge deal. But of course, they also managed to put the freaking smoke screen and the plane on the wrong goddamn button. Again, I hate that. Let us put our consumables on the buttons we want, right? Like, I don't want my smoke screen to be on the right D-pad. I want it to be on the down D-pad, and I want my plane to be on the right D-pad. This happens on a couple of different things, but it always throws me off. I end up wasting defensive AAs, or I end up wasting my radar, or I end up wasting a smoke screen. Hate it. I hate it when it happens. But either way, we get rid of the Maya very quickly, and that's going to allow me to focus down this broadside Caracciolo, begging for it. Don't get the best result here, but a solid hit nonetheless. I mean, he is broadside and begging for it. But he wastes the smoke screen immediately while sitting broadside, and I'd already fired at him. So I'm not sure why he would trigger his smoke screen there, but whatever. I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. Now, the Vanguard has started shooting HE at us, right? Typical Vanguard player only knows that he has one ammo type, and despite having a reload boosters and all of that, like, doesn't ever seem to make use of any of it. So we're going to use the island to try to get away from him. We're going to try to capture the base and see if we can't separate these two people. If I fight both of them at the same time, I lose. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. I can't fight both of these guys at the same time, right? So what I want to try to do is I want to try to separate them. So by pushing up behind the island, the Vanguard has committed to coming forward, which is great news for me. Bad news initially because he's going to reset the cap, but again, it's not the end of the world. And remember, we have a super heal, so all of his HE really isn't that big of a deal initially either. So keep that in mind as well. But Vanguard is going to try to go broadside here, and unfortunately our reload is just lagging a little bit. I make my turn a little bit early. If I'd have waited to make this turn, I could have probably gotten the front guns to shoot him. But unfortunately I shot a little too late, ended up hitting the island, even though I knew where he was. So that one's on me. But we're going to try, and you can see there's a little bit of server lag still. I don't know what's been going on with the servers for like the last 2 months, but it is not good. Like, Wargaming seriously needs to figure out what their server stability issues are. It's been going on for the last 2 months, and it's making me seriously not want to do a live stream of like ranked battles or anything, because I can only imagine how that's going to go. But as I kind of park myself, here I got to try to be a little bit more patient. First of all, I want to capture the base, because that's XP. Getting a solo cap is big XP. But also, I want to try to give the enemy time to make mistakes, and this is something that a lot of people don't do. A lot of people will force the issue, and then they run into a situation where they got to fight everybody all at once. Whereas sometimes you just need to give the enemy time to make their own mistakes. And what I want to do specifically is, I know that the Vanguard wants to creep forward, right? And I have a feeling that the Caracciolo is actually going to be kind of going back. And the reason I think this is because it's kind of what I would do if I was in his shoes, right? I want to set up a crossfire. But here we catch him with his pants down around his ankles. He's got his guns facing the wrong direction, and we just slap that man. 6 out of 9 shells landing, 6 out of 9 shells full penning, giving us over 15,000 damage. We didn't Citadel him. If we didn't have short fuse armor piercing, we'd probably just dev strike that Caracciolo right there. But we do have short fuse armor piercing, so it is, to be expected. And then he's going to try to bow tank us. And again, we know we overmatch him. We know he overmatches us. So we're angled slightly here, but we just want to kind of go for a overmatch of his bow. And you can see I aim high because I'm expecting him to have a bit of an extended belt. A lot of Italian battleships do. So assuming he has some sort of icebreaker or extended belt, I aim high because I know I can overmatch, but I got to make sure that I don't hit any like belt armor in the process. But you can see here, I go dark because he's in a smoke screen, and then he's going to do the unthinkable, and that is to fire his guns way too early. He hits our superstructure, which is crazy, but he does hit our superstructure, and then I end up getting a little bit impatient here. I go for a shot early to try to go through, and you can see we did actually hit the belt there a little bit. So I do think that the Caracciolo probably has a bit of an extended belt, but you can see he could have hurt us pretty good here because we're turning towards him. But at the time, I didn't know I had an underwater citadel, so I'm just assuming that if I stay broadside, I'm dead. But we're trying to get angled as best we can, use that casemate. He's going to get his front guns loaded. You can see he does very little damage, a lot of overpins, and then he is broadside. And even with short fuse armor piercing at this range, we're going to be able to citadel, right? But we get rid of him. We've got 90,000 damage in the bank. Our team has finally decided to move forward. Apparently having 5 people in the center of the map was enough to finally convince them that they're allowed to move. But you can see Nebraska's over there. Their destroyer's actually there as well. But I don't care about any of that. Our team's there to deal with those guys. My goal is to go back here and finish my flank. I am going to try to kill this Vanguard and finish off our flank solo. And this is why I talk about the player base. It's not because I'm a jerk, right? A lot of people seem to think that I call people out because I'm a jerk. But that's not true. It's not the truth of it. I like to show people what is possible if you just stick it out and learn to play the game, rather than just playing for fun, as everybody likes to call it when they're not good at the game. Okay? I'm sorry. When I hear people say, oh, I just like to play for fun, that just tells me that you're not trying to learn the game to get better, right? I hate that. I'm a competitive person. This is a competitive multiplayer game, right? You should be learning the game to try to improve so that you're better than other people, right? That's the whole purpose. You wouldn't play basketball or football or soccer or foosball, depending on who, you wouldn't play a sport and then try to be bad at it, right? Or try never to improve. Like, who does that? Like, if you're playing a competitive sport, you try to improve, right? Because you don't want to be the worst player on your team, right? Now, you guys that are watching, clearly you guys know what you're doing because you watch the channel, right? You guys have a leg up on most of the player base. And I say most of the player base, and people seem to think that I'm being a jerk there, too. I'm not. It's fact. Over 50% of the player base has a sub 50% win rate. That is fact. Ask Wargaming. They can give you the stats, right? That is fact. So that means the majority of the players have no idea what they're doing. And that's where people get mad at me. But Vanguard, I mean, he's turning towards me, raising that citadel. Vanguard has a lower citadel than it used to, but if you're turning towards me, I'm going to be able to citadel you. Even with short fuse armor piercing, you're inside 6 kilometers. He gets the double fire here, but look at the heal. Like, we just don't care. We're just going to out-heal the damage from the fires. Now, he is going to keep me burning for quite a while, but we just simply don't care. Now, you can see I'm in chat. I'm telling people I'm on my team. I'm like, you are not going to steal this kill from me. I have fought my backside off over here by myself this entire time with 0 support. You are not going to steal this from me. Y'all can just off. That's basically what I said. Anyway, we're going to try to beat this guy. He can't really outrun us. We're going to be going about as fast as he can. And where's he going to go? He either goes to the border or he turns back towards us. Either way, we run into him around this island. And once we've got him spotted here, I mean, again, we've got a good shot, but he is angled slightly, so we aim higher, just trying to get as much damage as possible. We get a good shot through the upper side plating, and you can see all the shells coming in for people trying to snipe my kill. Little turd waffles. Little vultures, man. Vultures! But it doesn't matter because at the end of the day, they failed. Shocker. They can't even do little tiny bits of damage to something to finish it off. I get to do all the damage, which is fantastic, because that's what we want. But here, again, he's turning towards us, so we know we're going to be able to kill him. Yeah, he's just easiest kill ever. But overall, I'm liking this thing. It's agile enough. It's got decent enough accuracy. It's concealable, so it gets out over those flanks. I like it. 3K base in our second game, top of the leaderboard. I mean, what can you ask for? And again, both of my games were Tier 6 in a Tier 7 lobby. And in the first game, I fought all Tier 7s with Suja, Plymouth, and a Georgia fighting me. And I still overcame that. And unfortunately, ended up dying anyway because my entire team was dead and I ended up having to fight everybody else on the enemy team too. But I did my part and did over 130,000 damage in that one as well. But yeah, so let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. I know that this is kind of a quick video, but you know, that's the way it goes sometimes. But if you like what I'm doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.